two different reads. What to make of it? Rick Grinnell, former U.S. spokesperson at the United Nations, and Atima Amara, a Democratic strategist. Rick, to you first. What she is saying, particularly on the refugee thing, is kind of consistent with these other revelations. One thing to the public, quite a bit behind closed doors, but if we're to believe her skepticism about whether we can vet them properly, you have to worry.
Well, not only should you worry because she's admitting that we can't vet them, and she literally says there could be jihadists coming in. I mean, think about that. Right. The Secretary of State, who knows the screening process really well because the State Department is in charge, if she...
I think it's a low threat, but not an unavoidable threat. The bottom line, she said...
One? Are we talking one? Are we talking 10? Are we talking 1,000? Right. Whatever it is, if she doesn't believe that our vetting system is absolutely secure, then she should not be mocking someone who says, let's take a pause until we get the vetting system right. And that's exactly what Trump has said. I'm more concerned about someone who doesn't understand that Russia is always trying to affect the elections, always trying to hack into our computer system. Why didn't she go to that extra step? This is nothing new, and no one should be surprised that Russia is hacking into this to find out that Hillary Clinton is not totally secure, doesn't have a full confidence in our own vetting process. That is very troubling.
Now, I don't know whether this comes up tonight, Atima, but I mean, if they're going to raise some of the stuff that came up with Donald Trump, what he said 11 years ago, certainly some concerns about Hillary Clinton and what she said as recently as months ago. Bear a discussion tonight, don't you think?
Well, I think absolutely it's going to bear a discussion tonight. But, you know, Hillary Clinton, what she said in her speech in 2013 was that, yes, she thought that the U.S. did not have the proper vetting, but that was comparing to Jordan that was leading in hundreds of thousands of people, and which is why her suggestion, her national security plan, is only to let in 65,000, which would be the capacity at which we can verify that we're not taking in any terrorists or people of a concerning element.
But, Atima, one thing that concerns me in these interactions here is her concern, which I admired. I mean, a concern again and again raised about this process. Now, publicly is quite another thing, a different face, and it follows on the heels of other things we're saying about bankers and saying another thing about them in front of campaign audiences, that people can't trust what she's saying.
Well, I think it's very interesting that we're sitting here talking about what we can't trust what she's saying when we have Donald Trump who says, I respect women, I have women working in my organization, when he is making comments on a hot mic about grabbing someone's
private part. No doubt. I'm not
parts.
justifying one for the other. I'm not, but I just think that for Democrats to get on a high horse about this issue strikes me as a little odd, because what comes through in these emails again and again, and I can mention any subject, is she's saying one thing to campaign crowds, quite another behind closed doors. Do you trust her?
I absolutely do 100% trust her, and I think that absolutely it shows her understanding of the national security process by saying, yes, we're not at the capacity to do that in a private speech, and also creating a national security plan that takes into account those limitations.
Look, can I say one thing, Neil?
Go ahead, Rick.
One thing that's really troubling is when we talk about jihadists coming in here and not having a secure system in place that the Secretary of State was in charge of and she doesn't have confidence in. When a Democrat says, yeah, but a hot mic, we're talking policy implications here. This is, you know, forget about this 11-year-old hot mic incident that NBC News has held for 11 years and then released it in October. It's troubling, it's terrible, but we're talking about policy.
But you do think Donald Trump should address that tonight?
Absolutely, but here,
and you want to see Hillary Clinton address this tonight?
Absolutely. What I want to see is a media that's fair, that deals with policy. What's the policy implications of the hot mic? What's the policy implications of jihadists not being able to be vetted?
And
that's what I want.
And that is addressed in Hillary Clinton's plan. And I think it is really ludicrous that we're sitting here talking about something he said 11 years ago. Her national security plan, which will only take 65,000 refugees, not the hundreds of thousands that she was talking about in regards to Jordan.
I do want to settle this refugee problem. Something tells me we won't be able to do it in this segment. But we'll see, and we'll see how much it comes up tonight. Both of you, thank you very much for taking the time out of your crazy schedules.